From the Crush Studio in sunny Florida, this is the Disney Crush Podcast. And now your two tempests in a teacup, Dave and Toni-Ann.
On this week's The Disney Crush Podcast, Jeremy Stein of the Main Street Magic Podcast joins us to talk about the Main Street 16, an event where teams will be running around the 4 parks to ride 16 rides as fast as possible to raise money for a good cause. Jeremy will join us and talk to us all about it, plus some news and some other silliness. I think I got a misconnection in episode 390 of the Disney Crush Podcast. Main Street 16, that's the event. They're doing a whole weekend. I guess we can talk about it with Jeremy. It starts technically the 16th, no, the 15th. They're doing a meetup, and then they're doing a race around Disney Springs on Friday, and then on Saturday they're doing the main event. So,
yeah, it's cool. Jeremy's going to stop in the studio and tell us a little bit about the Main Street 16. You know, I looked at, Jeremy and Rhonda, they do the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that Jeremy used to be in a grunge band when he was a wee lad?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he's a musician, which is cool because I play a little bit of guitar. He was a little bit into graphic designing because I think he designed some stuff for the band that he was in. He owned a marketing company. This guy's done a lot. He's been podcasting since 2017 with his wife Rhonda, who he met at a Creed concert, believe it or not. I love Creed.
Cool.
They launched the Main Street Magic Podcast. And Toni-Ann, I want to talk to him when he gets in the studio about his recent challenge. I think it was in April. He did the Small World Challenge, and we know a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask him about that when he comes on.
It sounds like you've been stalking him a little bit.
I do. When we have somebody new on the show, I stalk them thoroughly and ferret everything I can out about them. Yeah.
It's a little scary, Dave.
Well, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm excited to have him on. So, how about news? You got any exciting, breaking, fantastic news going on in Disney?
Yeah, actually, I do. Disney is doing the summer. They're doing a big summer promotion. Disney will be doing. This is how they're going to compete with Universal with their Cool Kids Summer, Dave. It's going to be the Cool Kids Summer at Walt Disney World, and that means that we're going to have dance parties with Goofy. The Communicore Hall. Remember the Communicore Hall that we said they weren't doing anything with?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're doing the Goofy dance party at the Communicore Hall.
Do you hear the excitement in my ums?
They're going to close the Communicore Hall on May 12th, so get in there before May 12th.
Oh boy! Rope drop the Communicore Hall. Rope drop that one. Yeah.
And then you are going to transform it into Goofy's Ultimate Playground.
Oh, that might be fun. A little Goofy.
Yeah.
Fun zone stuff.
There's going to be more activities at Rafiki's Planet Watch.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a limited time Wilderness Explorers badge at Animal Kingdom. A celebration sing-along at Discovery Island, competing with Epic Universe. This is going to knock people's socks off. Why go to Universal? They are going to be closing the Disney Junior Dance Party at Hollywood Studios, but that's just a temporary thing because they are going to have magicians and jump rope performers as Mickey Mouse and the Disney Junior Friends have a lively DJ dance party. That's starting on May 27th, the same day that Little Mermaid comes back, the Little Mermaid Voyage show and the Villains Unfairly Ever After. Those are all coming back. Those are all coming May 27th. And there's going to be a big bash at Storybrooke Circus in Magic Kingdom. There's going to be another DJ dance party, and this one's going to be starring Pluto. And they will have another DJ dance party in Tomorrowland featuring Stitch. So their answer to Epic Universe is DJ dance parties.
I don't know how they're going to compete with Disney. Disney's got all that great stuff going on. How are they going to compete with that?
Those DJ dance parties. Really?
Good luck. Good luck, Universal, trying to pull people in there.
And we discussed a few weeks ago that, we thought bookings were down at Disney because they gave that amazing Disney Plus subscriber deal on rooms like Animal Kingdom Lodge, $300 a night. I saw Port Orleans Riverside for $160. Like really, and All Stars Sports was $99. We've seen a lot of these promos, and they have brought back the Florida pass holder. Previously, when the one I bought in March when I was blocked out was the Discovery ticket. This is like the summer fun ticket. Same thing, $60 a day if you buy a 4-day pass. This is Florida residents, so it was $240 for a 4-day pass, $220 for a 3-day pass, and $210 for a 2-day pass for Florida residents. So they only give Florida residents deals when they need us.
Yep.
So they must need us this summer.
You think they'd kind of hide it a little bit, but it's pretty obvious what they're doing.
Yeah, that ticket's good from, well, the podcast comes out. I think it's basically good from now until September 27th, I think. That's what they're doing. I had some other news. Where is what's that group called? The Friends of the Disney Crush?
Yeah, well, last time I checked, unless you change the name.
No, that's where I put the news. Oh, did you see that Disney has put a little feature in the app? They've put a little technology in the app that if you try to screenshot your PhotoPass pictures, they make a blank screen.
I saw that.
It doesn't make sense to me because if you have PhotoPass, you have PhotoPass, Memory Maker. If you don't, your pictures have a watermark on them. So I guess Disney didn't like that people were taking the watermarked pictures, screenshots of the watermark. I guess with technology now, you could probably Photoshop that watermark right off, can't you?
Probably, I would imagine somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, but they didn't put this technology on the website. So if you go on your phone, on the browser, like on your Google Chrome or your Safari or whatever you use on your phone, you could still screenshot those pictures. You just got to go through the actual website instead of the app. Not that I'm endorsing doing that, but yeah, I mean, but if you already have Memory Maker, then it doesn't matter, right?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, if you got it, if you're paying for it, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Dave, this past week passed, and it was the anniversary of TDC 2023 this past week, and so I didn't realize until we were like 3 days into the weekend. So
totally missed that one.
Yeah, but that was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. TDC 2023, a sea of orange and some shenanigans with our friends. I think that was all the news. I have a little something though.
This week on Missed Connection. Oh, yeah.
I actually have a missed connection and a wished connection, but I hesitate to read the wished connection because it's kind of naughty. So this is the missed connection, but it's really old. I'm trying to, well, not that old. I'm trying to reconnect with a person I met on the Incredicoaster around 8:40 p.m. on March 3rd, 2025. I was a dude with glasses. This person was teaching me about how the Kindle works, and really I just wanted to thank you for the lessons. If you're out there, Kindle girl, I would really like a second chance to hang out and actually go to the park with you. It kills me every day not even getting to find out what your name is. If you're out there, reach out to me. Email me at, I'm not going to give you his email address. It would mean the world to me just to meet you again. I've already visited the park twice thinking I might run into you again, but I knew it would be highly unlikely that you'd be there. Help me find her. If you're reading this, Kindle girl, I really want to thank you. But wait, there's more. When he reposted this the other day, he said, it's so embarrassing, but I still think I can find her. True story. She gave me permission to kiss her. No idea where she is. She had long brown hair. I don't want to take up too much attention. It's been a while, but it's still worth a try. So she taught him how to use a Kindle in 2025, which Kindles have been around a really long time. And she said, you can kiss me if you'd like. but he didn't get her name or number.
Oh, well, I don't know if I can even help him. I think he could have avoided all this rigmarole if he would have, got her number, got her name.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And solved this whole problem. You got to be a little bit more, because now you're just reaching, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Good luck with that. Hey, it could have been a lifelong relationship, and now, you blew it, dude.
Mm-hmm. So, Dave,
I don't know. We can't help him, Toni-Ann, can we?
I have one more, but you could decide if you want to cut this one.
Okay, go ahead. Let's try it. Let's see.
It's a little naughty.
Okay. We like naughty.
Okay. This is really naughty.
Now it's really naughty. Before it was just a little naughty. Now it's really naughty. Okay, go ahead.
My husband and I will be in the Orlando area, and I came to this group because I know there are tons of locals here. Can you point me and my non-vanilla husband in the right direction? And then there's pictures of multiple pineapples.
Oh, I was going to say they might have a flamingo sign up somewhere.
Yeah. Are there any local pineapple clubs close by? We have a kid-free day and night and want to have some fun of our own while we're on vacation. If this isn't your thing, just keep scrolling. So you come on a Disney group and you ask. But here's my thing, okay?
No, hang on. Here's my thing. Could you do me a favor before we go any further? I'll cut this out. Could you just screenshot that and send it to me?
They came to a Disney group to ask, right? Because there's a ton of locals. I have to think, I'm in a million Disney groups. I'm in groups for 75 Hard because I did that. I'm in groups for diets that I did 20 years ago that I still can't get out of their groups. There are groups for everything. I would have to imagine that there are groups for people who indulge in the upside down pineapple thing. And that's probably where I would ask. I would bet there's even local Orlando pineapple people groups where that person could join and ask and ask around and get a feel and maybe even meet somebody. But I don't think I would come to a Disney group and ask. I know for a fact there's got to be groups for that segment of the population that enjoys that kind of thing.
Yeah, well.
There's groups for everything. There's absolutely groups for everything.
They made an honest mistake. I mean, it can happen. That's all. They just made a mistake.
Yeah. So I hope that they find their wished connection, and I hope that the guy in Disneyland who finds his Kindle girl. That's all I can say. If you've listened to the podcast for a while, you probably heard this story, but I'm going to tell it again. Okay.
I don't know. I'm older and I'm just out of touch, I guess. I don't know. But our mother-in-law got us a little camping flag for outside of our camper. You put like a campers on there, Dave and Veronica's site, whatever. But she got us one and it had a flamingo on it. And so we go camping Thanksgiving with all our family and, a huge campground that's full of people, not even a site left. And I put the sign out and Toni-Ann comes walking down and she goes, something like, is that your son? I'm like, yeah, why? She goes, you know what that means, right? I'm like, what do you mean? It says, let's flamingo. She goes, yeah, Dave, it's like the upside down pineapple. I'm like, what's an upside down pineapple mean? I had no clue. Oh, no clue.
Okay, that makes me sound bad. Like I know all this stuff.
No, but I'm glad that you knew and you let me in because I was wondering because couples were circling and kept coming by and waving a lot at us and smiling. And I'm thinking, man, this is the friendliest campground I think I've ever been to. This is such nice people. I might even ask, hey, you want some coffee or something? I'll come over. Good thing I didn't.
Yeah.
Good thing I didn't.
Mm-hmm. You would have got more than coffee.
Yeah. So once I found out, I started putting the sign at other campgrounds and during the night.
You put it in front of my bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, bus. Yeah. I'm so out of touch. Oh my gosh. Oh, but that's a true story. So, and my mother-in-law must not even known. And if she did, maybe she was trying to test me. I don't know.
Maybe she did know. I don't know.
So no, nothing else. No more news, Toni-Ann. No more Facebook. No.
Not really.
Two misconnections. We'll let Facebook slide this week.
Technically, they came from Facebook. Mm-hmm. So,
Well, that's true. Right.
I get most of my misconnections from Facebook, sometimes Reddit, but yeah.
Yes, Reddit is a go-to lately.
All right. So our guest is here. His name is Jeremy Stein. He is the host of the Main Street Magic podcast. And he is here to talk to us about the Main Street 16. It's an event that's happening on May 17th. Plus, there are some ancillary events that are happening on the days leading up. We can talk about that maybe. And it will raise money for the Dream Project, which is an organization started by Lou Mongello of WDW Radio to raise money for Make-A-Wish. Jeremy, thank you for joining us.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, Jeremy.
So we've never met. Jeremy,
No,
I'm Tony and David.
Sure. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on so last minute.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have Jeremy on. I haven't been stalking you, Jeremy, but I kind of been stalking you. I talked about it a little bit already in the beginning of the show, but I found out some really cool stuff about you. Like you were in a grunge band when you were a wee lad.
Yes. Yeah. I think, I guess growing up in the late 90s at that age in high school, I did that for several years, but got to do some cool stuff with it. Everybody was doing a garage band at that point, I think, though.
Yeah. Well, what instruments do you play or instrument?
Guitar.
Oh, cool. Me too. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I haven't picked one up in probably a decade.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I go through spells, Jeremy, where I won't pick it up for a long time, and then I'll get into spells where I'll just play it like every day.
That's awesome.
It's just weird.
I love that.
Toni-Ann, we talked about at the beginning of the show. Another cool thing is Rhonda, his wife and co-host, is not here. They met at a Creed concert. I love Creed. Is that right, Jeremy?
Very cool.
So I very close. I met Rhonda's best friend growing up through the Creed bulletin board. So again, like late 90s, you used to have to go onto these band bulletin boards. Because I mean, shoot, that would have been right around the time of like AOL and Instant Messenger, but there weren't a lot of other ways to communicate other than like email and stuff. So I actually met her best friend, and I was going to be in Florida where they were living, and I was like, well, I'll meet up with this person I had technically met on the internet, and then she introduced me to Rhonda that night. So, and the rest is history.
How cool.
But yeah, if Creed wasn't a band, there wouldn't have been a bulletin board, and we would have never met.
No, that's true. See, little things like that. I just love stories like this. That's why I had to ask you about it. And you've been involved in podcasting you guys started the Main Street Magic in like 2017, I believe, but you kind of were into podcasting a little bit before that with other podcasts. Theme Park Shuffle and some other ones, I think maybe.
Yeah, I had started producing podcasts probably well over a decade ago for my brother. At the time, he was in the basketball space, and so he had started a basketball podcast. And I work for my brother now, but I've always done stuff for him, and I was just kind of the guy that he'd come to and say, I want to do a podcast. How do we do it? And then I would go figure it out. Or I want a YouTube channel. How do we do it? And I'd go figure it out. So I figured out how to podcast and, produced, hundreds of episodes for him on 2 different podcasts. And then, when we decided to start our own Disney podcast, it was kind of easy just to get it going because I already knew how to do it. I just never been on the front end, on the mic until we started this show. But I'd always been in the back end, and we used to travel and all for my my brother, which was cool because in the first podcast, he didn't want to do any over the internet interviews. So we flew to everybody.
Wow.
And they got some pretty big names like Mark Cuban and Jay Billis and guys like that. So it was cool. I got to fly around with him a few places and just kind of sit behind the computer and set everything up and record and then, edit it all and put it out there for the world.
That's great.
That's very cool.
Toni-Ann, I'm feeling pretty bad right now. I'm not worthy.
Dave taught him. Dave's all self-taught too.
Yeah.
For himself.
And it's the way to do it now because everything's going to change, in a week anyway.
It does. It does.
You just have to, you almost have to teach it all yourself nowadays just to stay like in time with it because it's constantly changing.
Yeah. I just was never a techie guy. And I honestly, I could barely send an email or make an email. And I just dove into this thing and, oh, geez. I still, to this day, where we've been doing this, since I think about 2017, like Jeremy.
Yeah,
right?
about the same time, yeah.
And I when the podcast comes out, I sit back and go, wow, I did that again. It's 300 and almost 400 shows. I still surprised myself. Hey, Dave, pretty good, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. It's a lot less stressful, I will say, when it's your own podcast because
I'm
if you
sure.
mess up,
I'm sure.
you're just mad at yourself. But I have other podcast clients that I produce for, and those ones are stressful. Like one, I'd wake up at Monday morning at 3 a.m. when it dropped. I had an alarm set for 2:55, so I could just make sure that everything went off without a hitch at 3. And those ones are tough. So it's a lot more fun when you do your own, I think.
Yeah, because I don't get up for Toni-Ann. I make sure ours goes out. I just hope and pray.
I don't get up for ours either.
I don't even listen to ours after I edit it, because I do the editing and I'm like, I'm not even going to listen to it again.
Yep. Yeah. You're like, that's enough of me. I don't need any more of me.
No. Yeah. But I could talk about podcasting all day long. But really, the reason you're here, Jeremy, is because I want you to tell us a little bit about the project you chose, Dream Team Project, and why you chose it and why you dedicate this year's event. And because you've done it, this is not the first event. You've done these before.
Yeah, this will be our 4th Main Street 16 challenge weekend. And the first 3 years, we had Give Kids the World Village right there in Kissimmee as our charity of choice. And in those first 3 years, we raised, I think, around $35,000. And Give Kids the World had told us the average cost to grant a wish for like Give Kids and all is about $7,000. So we looked at that as like that was 5 wish families, that we were able to raise money for over those first couple of years. So this year we had kind of just thought, all right, we did 3 years with Give Kids. Do we want to look at maybe doing something with someone else? And we always want it to be related somehow either to Disney or to like, mine and Rhonda's personal lives in some way. And so I'd been lucky enough. I went back in September. Lou Mongello from WDW Radio does this Momentum yearly event. And I went to it this year. And it's all about, you all would love it. I mean, it's all about podcasting and being an entrepreneur and small business owner and all of that. And I'd known Lou when I first met him back in 2017, right after I started Main Street Magic. But we had kind of stayed in touch. So I just got an opportunity to know him a little bit better. And he had come up with the Dream Team project that he's been raising money for years. And it directly benefits Make-A-Wish of Central Florida. If you don't know, Give Kids the World Village, a lot of their wish kids come directly from Make-A-Wish. Right. So it was just the perfect way to kind of just, move to another charity maybe for a couple of years, and then we'll decide what to do. And that one just seemed so perfect. And then, getting to know Lou, I mean, he's just one of the best guys around. And of course, he's such a huge voice in the Disney community. So, just being able to do something and connect with him more was just wonderful as well. So it was kind of a no-brainer once I chatted with him and learned about the Dream Team project. We decided to go with that one.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, Lou's a major figure in Disney and podcasting and stuff. Was fortunate enough to meet him. He's a good hugger. He likes to hug, and I do too. So that was cool.
He is, and he's just a good dude.
He really is.
It's cool. It's cool when you hear people or see people, in things like podcasts and YouTube, and obviously, sometimes that might be a different personality and than you see in person. And Lou is, what you see on YouTube and hearing his podcast is exactly what you get. So that's always cool to learn that about people you look up to.
That's awesome.
Toni-Ann, I have to ask him one more question before you ask him a question.
Yeah.
Leading up to this, because the Main Street 16 is a major event, but I think that Jeremy and Rhonda did a little I'll call it fundraising, not fundraising, but fundraising too, and fundraising at the same time. Yeah. They went on Small World, I think. Didn't you recently in April? And ride that an obnoxious amount of times? And
yeah, we did April 11th. We live like 2 hours from Disney. We're in St. Augustine. So we can usually get down there pretty quick. So that morning we woke up, we drove right to Magic Kingdom and said starting at 10 a.m., just because we knew that was the time 11 a.m. We knew that was the time we could be there. We would ride from 11 a.m. till 9 p.m., which was closing of Magic Kingdom that night. And we would just ride Small World back to back to back. And we invited some people to come out and join us. And we had some friends and some listeners and stuff meet up and do some laps. But we did 17 total. Only thing we took breaks for was bathroom breaks. And then we actually took a few breaks to pull the rides for the Main Street 16 challenge. But other than that, it was on the boat, get off, go get in a short queue, maybe 10 minutes at most, get back on and just do it over and over again as many times as we could. And that was 17. And it was just to kind of raise awareness, obviously, in social media, as things can spread or people start to talk about something that's happening, we thought, well, if we can at least get people talking about what we're doing that day, they're going to be like, why are you doing it? And we can say to raise money for Dream Team Project, but also let you know about our bigger event that is coming up in May. So that was kind of the reason we decided to do that. And Small World just seemed to fit. We're raising money for children. That's got a lot of children in it. And I think part of the challenge is doing something like having to listen to that song 17 times in a row. Like you want to do something that maybe isn't the most enjoyable, because that makes it more of a challenge, I think.
Right.
Yeah, we were kind of sort of a part of that, a fundraiser like that a couple years ago at Small World.
We had a friend that did it too.
Yeah, we had someone that did it, and I went on and wrote it one time. That's about all I could do.
It's all Dave can handle.
No, I was
It's weird. At one point, it just kind of goes away.
Yeah,
Like, it's weird, and we never put in headphones. We never, anything like that. Like we heard it 17 times. We wrote 17 times. But yeah, at one point, you almost just numb to it. It really wasn't. The worst part was just my butt hurt from sitting down that much on those hard seats. But other than that, like it wasn't as much of a mental challenge.
Right.
Hearing that over and over again as I thought it would be. So that was fortunate, if anything.
You didn't still hear it in your head for 3 days afterwards?
No, it was so weird. I expected to have some sort of nightmare or dream at least that night. And I'm the type that will get a song stuck in my head and it will keep me up at night. And I don't know what it was. It didn't happen. So I felt lucky.
So the Main Street 16 is riding 16 rides in one day as fast as you can.
Yep.
4 in each park. Tell me about the origins of this event and what made you decide that this was 16 rides in one day. Tell me a little bit about the evolution of the Main Street 16.
Yeah, so it would have been, let's see, our first one was 2022. So prior to that, we had always wanted to do something for charity, to raise money for charity. My parents retired over 20 years ago, and ever since they even retired, they have donated their time, almost full time, weekly to a charity up in the South Carolina area. And like, they always did stuff with charity growing up. So it's kind of just something we always wanted to be able to give back. Like we're super duper lucky and fortunate that we live 2 hours from Disney World's front door, and we have, the means to go there as much as we do and do a podcast and all. So we wanted to be able to give back. And we finally got to a point, I felt our social media had grown enough. Our download numbers looked good for the podcast and they were growing. I thought maybe we finally have an audience that's big enough to do something. So I think I talked about it maybe a few times on the podcast that we were thinking of doing a charity event, and it was going to be for Give Kids the World. And one of our listeners, Gary Fernando, reached out to me and he said, hey, I kind of have an idea if you're interested in it. And he had done some of the like every ride challenges, and he's big into like the ride challenge community. And I'm a huge March Madness basketball fan. And the first one was going to be around March, April timeframe. And he was like, what if you did, kind of a sweet 16 of rides, and you had to ride, 4 rides in every park? It's like, awesome. I absolutely love that. And then he also came up with the idea of saying, let's look at the rides and kind of what tier they sit in. You have your e-ticket rides, and we'll break them into, he called them pods, and we'll randomly draw from those pods to see what the rides are, just like Selection Sunday. So I was like, this is perfect. And so really, I got to give all credit to Gary for coming up with the idea. He came up with the rules and all that we have, because, we want to put rules together that it is a challenge and it's also fun. And the main focus is to still raise money. So, you need to put in enough rules and hope that people aren't trying to cheat the system when the end goal is to raise money. Yeah. But yeah, he can. I'll give him credit for all that. I'm very thankful to have Gary working with me all these years doing it. People love it. I mean, we have return people year after year. We have at least 2 or 3 teams, I think, that have raced every single year. So, and it's cool. We finish up and people wonder when next year's will be, and we try and get those dates on the books so people can plan for it. So we hope to continue to grow it bigger and bigger and just continue to raise more and more money, because that is obviously the number one goal. We have a ton of fun, and it's a great way to get Disney friends and folks together. But again, that's the main thing is, helping out these charities and these kids and everything.
So I just want to pull up the list of the rides I have here, so people can get an idea of what we're going to be doing on the 17th. So the 16 rides are Peter Pan's Flight, Space Mountain, Tomorrowland Speedway, and Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. Then in Epcot, you've got Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, Mission Space, either side, whichever one you want to do, Living with the Land, and Grand Fiesta Tour. In Hollywood, you've got Rise of the Resistance, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Toy Story Mania, Alien Swirling Saucers. Animal Kingdom is Flight of Passage, Navi River Journey, Dinosaur, and Cali River Rapids. And I can confirm, because I watched it, they did pick these rides at random from a hat. and like Jeremy said, they kind of had pods. So there was one group of the e-ticket rides, one group of, the more less exciting rides, and like one group of the snooze ones. I'm sorry. We got Tomorrowland Speedway, Alien Swirling Saucer.
Yep.
Mission Space, and I guess, that's not bad. Animal Kingdom, they're all pretty good.
Yeah, because you got Flight of Passage and Navi right there, right next to each other.
I know.
Yeah,
and Animal Kingdom's so hard, especially now because there's like no rides. So I think for the Animal Kingdom, we had to put in like Wildlife Express.
Yeah.
Just because we had to put something. But yeah, that was an interesting one. And so this year, Cali River Rapids is the first year that's ever been drawn, is this year.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrowland Speedway, this is the first year that's been drawn. And then interesting will be Rise of the Resistance. This will be the first year that's ever been in the race.
Yeah.
So at least everything else is a repeat from one year or the other.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting.
So can we talk a little bit about the rules? You are allowed to use lightning lanes as not the premier, the regular ones, ones, and the single ride and the single pass. And you can do single rider. Some of these rides have single rider lines. You can use those too if you want to.
Yeah. So
cool.
there's, you can now, one thing we are asking this year, because our host hotel is at Drury. They do not get the 7-day privilege. So again, kind of that honor system. We are asking people that are going to purchase Lightning Lane multi-pass or single pass as part of their plan to not do it until the 3 days out, so that it levels the playing field. But yeah, those are allowed. There's DAS can be used as well, because we know that there are folks that need to utilize that. And there's just some rules around that saying, we basically just want to make sure that you're doing what like everyday guests would do in a sense.
Level playing field. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a level the playing field. And it's always been a blast. Once you get to your first park, you can get there however you want, but the remainder of the park hopping needs to be done using Disney transportation. Like one year we did it and somebody used a minivan, which gave them a clear cut advantage at some point. We decided to say, let's just stick to, the free Disney transportation.
Right. So that's my team. We're strategizing, and that's one thing, because those park to park buses don't start till 10, and we hope to be done with our first park before that. So we're trying to figure out, okay, so how should we get there using Disney transportation?
Yep.
And that's just, the kind of things you have to think about.
Well, what was super crazy, now remember the first 2 years we did this, 2022 and 2023, park hopping wasn't allowed until 2 p.m.
Oh yeah.
So it was a struggle. So the first park wasn't a race. Anybody could do the first park. You usually had, 5, 6, 7 hours or something.
Yeah.
So teams would finish that first park in an hour, hour and a half, and then everybody would like go eat breakfast or go to lunch. 2 p.m. is when the race really started.
Yeah.
So last year was the first year we didn't have the park hopping in place. So it's cool because it really is about just strategy. And just because you can use Lightning Lane doesn't mean you might do any better than another team that uses it or doesn't use it. It really comes down to the best strategies. And then something else we do to make it fun is not only will there be an overall first, second, and third place, which is basically start to finish 16 rides, and we have some prizes and stuff for them. We also do like some prizes for the fastest in an individual park.
Okay.
Because we found out the first year that, if by 5 p.m. a team finished, then a lot of teams after them just kind of decided, well, they weren't going to finish. They couldn't win. And obviously for good reason. They were all tired from running through parks all day.
Yeah.
But we decided to do some more fun stuff like that. So now, even if you're not going to win the whole race, you might be able to do just say Epcot in the fastest time of those 4 rides. So we try to switch it up and make it fun in different ways and make sure everybody just loves doing it and wants to, come back next year.
Cool. I can't wait.
Has there been anything in past events that really stuck out to you want to share with us?
Yeah, so it was it would have been 2023. We had Wyndham Lake Buena Vista right there, kind of at the entry to Disney Springs was our host hotel. So we had a lot of people staying there, and it was Friday night. That year we had done. That was probably my favorite year so far. So one of the things we did that year is Friday afternoon we rented out Stargazers Lounge at Planet Hollywood, and we had basically a paid ticket event, to help cover those costs and all. Mm-hmm. And we did food. We did a trivia contest that we had Mark Daniel host, and it was so much fun. And then part of that was a VIP ticket. And the morning of, it was, I want to say maybe 15, 16 of us got to do a walking tour of Give Kids the World Village. And nice. We got to see, all around property there and to meet with a family, and just, it was absolutely incredible. So that evening, just to wind down, we were all hanging out in the lobby bar area at Wyndham, and there was a convention going on, and there was some louder, rowdier people next to us. And one of our friends who's become a listener, who's become a really good friend, Liv, for whatever reason, she stood up on a chair and she said, "Hey, everyone, I want to let you know why we're here. We're, raising money for Give Kids the World Village. We're doing this event. If anybody would like to donate, we have a link," or whatever it may be. Well, it turns out there's a horse dentist conference there. And these were all these horse dentists in the lobby getting rowdy. And they just started pulling out credit cards to go online and donate money. They started pulling out just money out of their pockets, like cash, and handing it over. It was just the coolest thing. Like, wow. Just this kind of, just out of nowhere, we're all just sitting around kind of winding down the night. And then, all these people got involved that were like, "Well, that's amazing. Let us give you some money. Let us do some donations." And then that same year, we did kind of mini challenges. Mm-hmm. I loathe pickles. I hate pickles more than any other food in the world. And so I said, if we raise $500 in like the next hour, I'll eat a pickle. And we raised, I think, $650 in that next hour. And so, one of my friends on the way over got one of those gas station pickles in a bag. Yep. And I'm in the lobby eating that in front of this whole group of people hanging out. It was awful for me, but everybody else had a blast just watching it. So there's been a lot of cool moments like that. The ride challenge is cool. A lot of the moments come down to the people that are there and just making memories. We have made friends through this event that are, like family to us now. And then it's just, at the end of the whole thing, when we can say, "Hey, we raised, X number of dollars this year." That's another thing that we kind of remember year after year, I think.
Speaking of, when you're talking about the events that happened before, this year you're doing something new, the Main Street Madness, right? Tell us a little bit about Main Street Madness.
So you guys are going to see, I'm not the brains behind this. And Rhonda's the face. She's just not available right now. I don't know what I am, but Gary, again, Fernando, who came up with the 16 ride idea, he put all this together. We had some meetings. We have a crew that every year, helps out with this thing and volunteers their time. And so we had kind of put down an idea around doing something in Disney Springs, because that way you don't need a park ticket. So it's free. Right. And we had done a scavenger hunt the first year, which was really fun. We did the trivia the last 2 years. So we kind of had this idea of doing almost like an Amazing Race style challenge through Disney Springs. So Gary's come up with all the clues and everything. There's going to be like 4 sections based on the 4 neighborhoods that you're going to have to work your way through. There's going to be things from trivia to scavenger hunt to even kind of some puzzles and things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're starting that at 1:00 on Friday. We'll meet in front of the big aerofoil balloon there and give everybody their first packet and send them on their way. And we'll see how that goes. And we'll have some cool prizes for that as well. Yeah.
We've done events like that. We've had meetups, and so for our listeners, it sounds similar to what we call the Quest for Geek and Glory, which they've run around. Cool. They've run around the monorail resorts one year. They ran around the Skyliner one year, and one year we were in Hollywood Studios because that's just the way it worked that one year. But so we've done something like that too. So if our listeners, that sounds like a similar type of thing.
Okay, we might have to team up next year for this then and get some of your ideas for the.
Well, Wendy, our listener, one of our friends and listeners, Wendy Fox, she's the brains behind the Quest for Geek. Okay, that's her thing. But
we'll put her and Gary together, and they can figure out all the cool stuff.
Sounds good.
Right.
Sounds good. We talked about the 16 rides. We talked about Main Street Madness. Is there anything else that we didn't cover?
No, just, yeah. I mean, if you can't be there in person, you can still go ahead and register teams and all and join us. You can check. I don't know if we have any rooms left in our room block, but we'll all be at the Drury Inn, for the whole weekend. And we do a lot of different stuff there. So yeah, if you can't be there, please go out and donate. When you look at, because this is confusing and I understand, when you look at the Dream Team project page that we're linking to, you're going to see like $40,000 raised. That's not us like just this year. That's Lou's efforts for as long as he's been doing it. We're just simply adding to those efforts. So we definitely need the donations, as many as people can offer, and whatever they can offer if they go out there would just be wonderful. And we'll keep that big number that Lou has already created. Just make it keep getting bigger and bigger, hopefully, right?
We're just going to build it.
Yep.
How about mainstreet16.com? Can they go there to find out information?
You can go to mainstreet16.com. You can register for Challenge Day. You can register for Friday's Main Street Madness if you want. And then there will be the donate link there as well. So yeah, mainstreet16.com will give you everything you need to.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we're going to be following along. I know I'm not going to be racing, but I will probably be over there one of the days, you guys.
Okay. Where can people find Jeremy and Rhonda?
mainstmagic.com. You can find our podcast on any of the major podcast players and apps and all. And then at mainstmagic at pretty much all the social handles.
Jeremy, thanks you so much for coming on and telling us about your event. Good luck with the event. I will be there. And hopefully Dave will come and meet you too.
Yes, I hope so. And thank you all for having me on to be able to share this and talk about it. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Sounds good. Bye.
I think that's it. All right.
Turkey and truth has spoken.
Put a check on that. Can you do that, Dave? Can you put a check on that one?